Hello, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. If you're watching live, we're early. Just a bit of a thumbs up to those when we're late, that we can do early. But it's Saturday Night Live. We've been doing it all summer. Really looking forward to it tonight because the Premier League started, so we can talk a little bit about the Premier League stuff. We will be taking all your questions off the live comments. That's what Saturday Night Live is all about. But there are one or two things we do need to discuss. First, Spurs are apparently bidding for Anthony Martial. When will this stop about Martial? Everybody else seems to realise what a fantastic player he is. You've got Mourinho saying yesterday, oh, at my old clubs I had wingers who could score 15 goals a season. Hello? When you came to Manchester United, Martial had just scored 15 goals plus for Van Gaal off the wing. The player's there, Jose. Use him. And the fact that people like Spurs, and I think Pochettino is probably the best manager in the Premier League, to be honest, the way he brings youth through and his footballing style, very, very good. The fact that he would want Martial doesn't surprise me at all. And as I've said before, this summer just seems to be constantly Martial, 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 Martial. And we know the club feeds stuff out, and I just wonder if it is a little bit of a test of the water from the club to try and see, you know, what the sort of reaction would be to letting Martial go. Because I'm not definite, but I do get the feeling that Mourinho sort of wants to get rid of him. He's a massive fan favourite though, and it's sort of like, I don't think they do things based on what the fans want, but selling a fan favourite, I don't know. As I said last week, I really like Martial, but I do think that if Mourinho doesn't want him, sell him. And, you know, if you get it wrong, you fall on the sword of your decision. But keeping him and not using him is just infuriating everybody, as far as I'm concerned. We're going to talk Fosu-Mensah, played for Palace this afternoon. Palace lost, but big news about Fosu-Mensah. We will be talking about some of the other results as well, and we'll be taking your questions. But a couple of things we need to do before I start off. First of all, Matthew McFadden yesterday on the show was asking what name shirt he should get on the back. And I said Goldbridge number 7. He's gone and done it. That's not mine. I don't buy shirts anymore. So that's Matthew's picture that he sent me this afternoon. He has gone and got out. It's a limited edition for a start. It's probably the only Manchester United shirt in existence with Goldbridge on the back. But it looks good, doesn't it? It does look very good. The new shirt as a number 10. Matthew, I think you deserve a like for that. Matthew McFadden. I think he is on the live comments. But very, very, very funny. We will be coming back to Martial, don't we worry, but there's a couple of things to do. James Bratt says waste of money. I think it was, I think it's well worth the money. Be very interested to see what sort of feedback you get from that way. And George Carl, I'm not reading your comment out. I think it looks really good. I think it looks really good, to be honest. But I would, wouldn't I? And also. Here we go. Some people are just asking there about Fosu-Mensah. He had a very good game, even though Palace lost 3-0. But what I want to do is not that. That's what I want to do. Right, we've got the One Football app up and running. The link is in the video description for those who aren't following yet. I'm just going to check what the latest Manchester United news is because I hadn't done that. So let's have a look. Anthony Martial to Tottenham, Manchester United snub, Spurs and Inter Milan bids. That's in the Daily Star. Manchester United reject Tottenham transfer bid for Anthony Martial. So there's a lot of that. Why is Ronald Koeman pictured there for Tottenham a submit offer for Anthony Martial? That's through Sports Lens. They obviously foreign, have got no idea who manages them. Manchester United reject Tottenham bid for Anthony Martial. So it's quite big news this. Again, Lindelof signs autographs as Manchester United arrive for training ahead of clash. And Moyes' Pogba assessment is outrageous. That's from Manchester Evening News with a picture of Hernandez. Carrick believes we're on the up. Luke Shaw's, this is a good one. Luke Shaw's agent says Manchester United star is going nowhere despite Danny Rose links. There was somebody saying that they'd had an exclusive interview this afternoon with Luke Shaw's agent and they were going to write the article up later. And I tweeted him and said, he's staying, and he didn't like that because it's obvious. Luke Shaw's staying at Manchester United. We want him to stay at Manchester United. Here we go. Wayne Rooney scores on his Goodison Park return, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic posts intense training video as Manchester United returns. You can get all that on the OneFootball app. Link is in the video description. Very, very, very good if you want to just get Manchester United sort of tabloid news all in one place. Download the app, it's free. Follow Manchester United, and then you'll get that stream there of all the latest Manchester United news. It's very good for one place to sort of get it all together. So OneFootball app, link in the video description for that. But a few points to discuss in relation to that then. I want to start off with Fosu-Mensah against Crystal Palace. They were 2-0 down very quickly. They lost the game 3-0. But the two men in the match for Crystal Palace were Fosu-Mensah and Loftus-Cheek, who's also on loan from Chelsea. Very, very good feedback from Fosu-Mensah. I didn't watch the game. I sort of got some highlights just about before coming on air. He made an absolutely amazing... I don't know whether they'll show it on Match of the Day because it's not the sort of depth that Match of the Day goes to, but he made an absolutely amazing last-ditch sliding tackle, Fosu-Mensah. He sort of played at the right side of a back three, which, you know, I don't know whether that's his best position. I'd rather see him in the midfield, to be honest, but he's played 90 minutes in a Premier League game for Crystal Palace, and he played very, very, very well. I'll be disappointed if he didn't play next week for Palace, and a lot of the feedback, I think I read the Croydon Examiner, which is London-based, local to Crystal Palace, and they had him and Loftus-Cheek as man of the match. He wasn't at fault for any of the goals, and he had a decent game. So that's positive in relation to Fosu-Mensah watch. Just want him to get lots of games, really. I'm not really bothered about the results, but I am bothered about how Fosu-Mensah does. And he played very well. That's my predicted lineup for the West Ham game. Somebody just asked to do that. Cracking Plur FC, you've not been blocked because I can see your comments. I've got 11 out of 11 against Real Madrid. Let's see if I can do it again tomorrow. Very excited about the game tomorrow, by the way. So Fosu-Mensah did well. Rooney scored for Everton. I haven't even seen the goal. I will watch Match of the Day tonight. Pleased for him. I'm interested to watch Rooney. I don't know whether Rooney played well or not. Rooney scoring goals and Rooney whether he played well, as Manchester United fans will know. Rooney scoring goals wasn't much of a problem over the last 3 years, but his performances with those goals were. So, be interested to see. I've not really... I mean, he's not a United player anymore, but I did say I would keep an interest in Rooney and wish him well. So, I'll be interested to see if he played well or not. Who bid for who? Martial bid from Spurs. It's on the OneFootball app. It's at the start of this video as well. Numerous places. I just got fed up, really, of the amount of Martial rumour. I don't think Martial will start tomorrow as well. I do think he's one of our best players, but I don't think he'll start. Matt Johnson, Rooney's goal was a header. Could Martial play at left wing back in a game like this, says Football3704. If we wanted to attack them, he certainly could. I'm not too sure that he will, though. I will be watching Match of the Day tonight. So, a United fan asking me there. I will be. If only to watch the Liverpool game. Just that's what Match of the Day is enjoyable on a Saturday night for. If United have not played, what you basically want to watch is your rivals mess it up. And Arsenal nearly did it last night. Liverpool were 2-0 down. Were they 2-1 down? 2-1 down. Got back to 3-2. They were going to win the title, then they weren't, then they were, then they weren't, then they were, then they weren't. And then 3 minutes into stoppage time, Watford got a late equaliser. I was just like, that is brilliant. So they've not got off to a good start. A point at Watford and thrown 2 points away. Defensively, they are awful, aren't they? But they're not going to win the league, so as many points as they drop, sooner the better. The interesting one was Chelsea at Burnley. That will have messed up a few open day accumulators. I didn't have time to put one on, which I'll talk to you about in a minute as to why. But that was a banker for me, for Chelsea, and they lose at home to Burnley. 2 players sent off, Cahill and Fabregas. You know, there's a lot of people said this. I've said that Chelsea will struggle this season. They won't win the league because they've not got that comfort of 1 game a week. You know, European football is going to mess them up. I don't think they've got a great squad anymore. But also, I think Matic and Costa out of their team really loses them a lot of experience, and both Mourinho signings. So Conte is now going to get exposed, or judged, is the nicer word, on his signings. So Bakayoko, Morata, you know, these sort of players, if they don't deliver, I just can't see Chelsea winning the title. I know Man City beat Brighton 2-0 if people didn't know about that, not worried about that. Fully expected Man City to win there. It took them 70 minutes to score, so it would have been nice if they dropped points, but to be honest, Brighton away, they should be winning that. So I expect City to start well. We've got to win tomorrow. I mean, Arsenal won, Chelsea have lost, Liverpool have drew, Spurs play tomorrow at Newcastle. I think they win. We've got to win tomorrow. It's a home game. It's the sort of game we need to win. And we can challenge for the Premier League this year, but we've got to get that confident start. So I'm very excited about tomorrow. Join us for the watch along. We'll be live at 3 o'clock with the transfer news. Productions, stop supporting my club, you chat spray. I don't support Liverpool, mate, so I don't really know what you're on about. I presume you're a Liverpool fan because I was talking about them when the comment came in. Right, start flying in with your comments then. I've talked about everything I wanted to do. Paul Robinson's Ash says he's #1 in the Fantasy Football League, which I will have a look at. Mate, while we're live. I don't mind doing that in a few minutes' time. Daryl Vlog says it was nice to see Premier League champions lose to Burnley. You're not celebrating with the fans now, are you? Karma hits back in relation to Conte. Joel Kellum says, Mark, didn't you pick Chelsea to finish second? I think I picked them to finish third. I think I went, I'd have to watch the video again. I certainly had them in the top 3. We're top. I think I put City second. But, no, look, Chelsea won't win the title. They won't win the title, and that's the main thing. Dan Butterworth says, no Hazard, Costa, Pedro, Matic. Morata came on late and ripped Burnley a new one. Interesting, I didn't watch it. Morata's a good player. I would have welcomed him at Manchester United. It's Drifty says, what's your opinion on Darmian? Great question. What's my opinion on Matteo Darmian? I really liked him when we first signed him. I liked him as a right back. I can't stand him as a left back. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind selling Darmian because as much as he does a good job, he's a really uninspiring attacking fullback. He is totally about the defence. And United, for this reason, and I like Darmian, but I would sell him for the one reason. What is Manchester United's identity? And Manchester United's identity is attacking fullbacks who can defend. Darmian can defend, but he can't attack, and I don't like that in Manchester United fullbacks. So I would like to sell him. Luke Shaw agent says Manchester United love him. Says Joe Salisbury. That's good to hear. I want him to stay. The Football Bears made a contribution. He says Jones is a horrible, horrendous, atrocious player. I don't know what's going on there. Only English people could join the Fantasy League, says Michael O'Sullivan. Not true. We did speak to you about that 2 weeks ago. There was a workaround, as some people have done. So don't shoot the messenger when the messenger gave you the message. Will I dab if we beat West Ham tomorrow, says Kyle Briffer 7. Big fat no. I'll only be dabbing if we win the Premier League and nothing less. I'm not dabbing because we beat West Ham. Where did you get your jacket from, says Brian Badondi. Got it a couple of seasons ago off the I always get my stuff off the Manchester United website, so from the proper source. Kamel says, going by the first weekend's game, it seems like Chelsea, Arsenal and Liverpool haven't addressed their weaknesses over the summer. I believe we can fight for the title. So do I. I think there will be some signings over the next 2 weeks from the big teams. Chelsea will definitely sign players now because they'll be terrified. Metin789 says, are you doing a watch along tomorrow? Does a bear do its business in the woods? Of course we'll be doing a watch along tomorrow. Live at 3 o'clock with the 2 no's 4 o'clock kickoff. Jay Sellers says, how would you describe Liverpool? I would describe Liverpool as the thing that comes out the bear's backside in the woods. Lukaku will score 2 tomorrow, says Simon Mellon. Remember, we've got the link up with 10bet. It's not on the video description of this video, but my bet with them, which I'll give you on the watch along tomorrow, or you can find it on the preview, is Lukaku to score at any time. Tenner gets you 17 quid back. If you want to be a bit perverse or, sick or whatever, you can get very good odds on Hernandez to score at any time tomorrow. Just 1 goal. I don't mind if he scores and we're 4-0 up. 4.20, so you get 32 quid back for a tenner. But I think that's very, very good odds. I would be on it if it wasn't against Manchester United. Burnley burned down Chelsea, says I'm the best. Man City want Fellaini, says go on. We can all dream. What time is the match What time is match of the day? Don't know. Normally it's about 10:30. Our next signing should be Mark. Very intelligent to help with the tactics, says Irish XHD. I'm with you on that one. You've just opened up a big can of worms. Well done. Mark, who are we signing next, says Conor Lovrich. I still think it's going to be that Italian club's winger who plays for Inter Milan. I'm not allowed to say his name. I get banned from it now. People think I'm in love with him. I want it to be him, and I think it will be him. It's my phone, don't worry. Can we play a 4-4-2 diamond like Real do with Mickey at 10 with Lukaku and Martial up top? Well, we could, but I don't think we will. Fellaini will be used in the last 15 minutes tomorrow, says Panku. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Do you think... Somebody just said, do I think Everton can win the league? I think Everton did very, very well last time. But... Look, there's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good teams. And when I say good teams, Premier League teams battling for the top 4. You've got 6, of which only 4 will get in the top 4 with Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool and Arsenal. Can Everton challenge for that? I think Rooney gives them a lot in relation to experience of that sort of thing. But I wouldn't have thought so. I do like Everton though. I hope they do well. I've got Clough in my Premier League team actually. I don't know whether he played today, but I do have him. Serge Aurier and Ivan Perisic coming this week, says Andy Bryant. I'll be happy with that. Riju Gupta says, I see us winning the Champions League rather than the English Premier League. At Madrid / Juve are easier than these mid-clubs week in, week out. Interesting. Don't agree with you, but there you go. Mark, let us have Martial sense. Mourinho doesn't understand he's a number 9, says Goldberg Stolhet. What's the latest with Aurier, says Kev McGee. Don't know. We have Martial. Why do we need Perisic? Mark says Raps. We do need another winger. We do need another winger, by the way. Give Demi Mitchell a chance, says Jack Kirtland. He wasn't even given a chance in the on the tour, so he's not going to be given the chance in the Premier League. I don't expect we'll see Pereira tomorrow on that point. I don't even think we'll see Pereira on the bench, which is sad, but there we go. I think today will be the high point of Rooney's Everton return, says James Murphy. Well, I don't have anything to say about that. I don't know. I think Rooney's probably more motivated than he has been in the last 3 years. He's back at the club he loves. He's got a point to prove. It's World Cup year. I think Rooney will be doing absolutely everything he can. And he will be putting more effort than he's in a United shirt because it is the club that he loves. And it's not all about the money, is it, at Everton? So I just don't know whether he's got it anymore. He certainly didn't at Manchester United. But at Everton, more space, lesser expectations. He's not a top 4 player anymore, but maybe he's a top 8 player. Conor Lovrich says, how many goals do you think Lukaku will score this year? Injury permitting, I think he will get 30 goals. Remember, start firing your questions. This is what it's all about at the moment. Martial, more central. Mark says, Wheelie. I like him out on the left, if I'm honest. Aish13 says, Perisic to Barcelona. I spoke about this morning. No, they won't go for Perisic. They will get Dembele and Coutinho. Who's in charge of the United Stand Instagram page, says Sean Reed. I don't know. Don't look at it, to be honest. I don't do Instagram. I haven't got time. Mark, do you have a reason behind why we're not seeing any more of Pereira, says Harrietta Randamina. Because he's a youth player. Because it's easy to leave him out. That's pretty much it. He should be in the team. But it's easy to leave him out. And Neil Abuju Roy says, if we copy Chelsea's model 3 at the back because they won the Premier League, why not copy Real's model, who are the best in the world? It's all about players, isn't it? Do you think Spurs can win the league, says Theon Curtin? No. I think that they're a good side, Spurs. I think for the last 2 years they've probably been the best footballing side in the Premier League, but it's proof that the best footballing side doesn't always win it. They were certainly the best side we played last season over both games. But I think also being at Wembley is going to be a massive problem for them. I expect them to pummel Newcastle tomorrow, by the way. I think it could be 3-4-1. But I don't think Spurs will win the league. No, I don't. I don't think they've got that grit to do it. But I think they'll probably be up there. But I also think Wembley's going to make it difficult for them. City had 80% possession, had 2 disallowed goals before the second that counted, and well and truly battered Brighton. Thanks for that Man City update, Corey Brown. What do you want me to say? I totally expect City will start this league fast. I'm not worried about City. I'm not surprised if City at the end of September have maximum points, have scored loads of goals. As long as we stay with them, I'm not worried about Man City. The consistency of Manchester United will define our season. We've got to pick up points against teams like West Ham tomorrow, because that's where we let people off. We could have been in the top 4. We could have been possibly pushing Spurs and Chelsea, but we dropped too many points at home. Some people say as many as 20 points at home, drawing games to teams like West Ham. We get those points this year and put pressure. We've got to put pressure on them teams above us. I expect a fast start from Man City. I'm not worried about them at all. Would I give up Martial for Perisic, says Daniel? No. Pereira can be better than Herrera, says Rizan. I agree. Mark, don't you think it's painful to see someone as good as Martial on the bench, says Marvin Million? I do. I'm a big fan of Martial's. I think Mourinho gets it wrong on how he manages him, especially when he's using somebody like Lingard. But we're not the manager. Jose Mourinho is. I think he's the right man. But there is no such thing as the perfect manager that does everything you want him to do. And you know, Mourinho does a couple of things that infuriates a lot of fans. But I wouldn't swap him. I've said I really want Martial to be part of it. I think he's going to be a cracking player, whether it's a United player or elsewhere. But it's got to the point now with me where I don't want that frustration anymore of him not being used very often. And I would rather Mourinho just did what he's been hinting at doing for a year now. Just sell it. If you don't want him, sell him and get what you want in. And we can then say that was a massive mistake if it goes wrong and Martial goes off to be a great player like De Bruyne did when he sold him from Chelsea. Or we can say, well, you brought another player in and he did a good job. I'm not saying there's a player out there that couldn't come in and do a better job, but Martial's the sort of footballer I want to see in a United shirt. He is 100% without competition our best flair player, our best player at running at players, and that's what Manchester United's always been about. So that's the I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson, we shouldn't talk about that really, but Ferguson would have Martial in the team every week on the left wing. It's exactly the sort of player he would want to play. Is it Mourinho's sort of player is the problem. Balumku says our record wasn't good against the top 6 either. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But despite us not having a great record against the top 6, we still came 6th and potentially could have got 4th. The big points dropped were not beating the lower teams at Old Trafford. That was where we went wrong. We had a good away record. We had a really good away record against everybody, really. But the home record against teams from the mid-table to the bottom was really, really poor. Mark, do you think Rojo could play centre-back, says Wheelie? I think he will do, yeah. I do. He's not going to be back till Christmas. Is De Gea staying? I would be amazed if De Gea went now. It's not a Manchester United jumper. It's a t-shirt. It's a zip-up top. Chelsea missed Matic, says AJ. Does Martial have the right fighting attitude, says Harrietta? I think that's a myth thrown out by whoever wants him out of the club, really. I think Martial fights as hard as anybody else. Martial is 21. People forget how young he is as well, says SJ Jewett 22. Yeah, I totally agree. I think Martial probably had one of the best debut seasons any signings ever had at Manchester United, and to do that at 19 as well, I agree. I think people do forget. What about putting Pereira in midfield with Pogba and Matic, says Jeff Hepner. A lot of people have said that, Jeff, actually. Pogba, Pereira and Matic would work better than Pogba, Herrera and Matic, because Matic is very defensive minded. We don't need that defensive minded Herrera with him as well. You could have someone a bit more progressive in Pereira. I don't think in a million years that Mourinho's ever going to drop Herrera, by the way. And I really like Herrera, but I would like to see a bit of Pereira as well this season. Martial plus Shaw, future of the left side, says Jose Herrera. Nothing could make me happier. If we sell Martial, is that the end of exciting football at United, says Vince Chapman? No, I don't think that. I think Mourinho did play some really good football at the start of his career at Manchester United, especially around October, November time, so even December. We played really good football. We just didn't put the ball in the back of the net, and that forced him in January for the rest of the season to really grind out results. But we did play good football around the autumn time of last year. We just didn't produce the results or the goals from that good football. So he can do it. He can do it. And I really hope that we go back to doing it. Don't you think we need a left-footed proper right winger? Says Hazibul Hassan. I personally don't like wingers who are on one side and then the other. I prefer them to get a natural cross in. I want them to get a right-footed player to run down the right wing and whip a cross into the danger zone. If you come back, if you come back onto your left and you curl it towards the goal, it's easier for a centre-back to defend because the ball's coming at them. If you whip it in from the right-hand side and you put it into that sort of 6-yard box, a defender's sort of running towards it and running towards the goal. It's hard to defend, but we haven't done that for 3 years. Which Liverpool player would you take, says Bart O'Callaghan. Well, I'll say Coutinho now because he won't be a Liverpool player for long. What's your score predictions for tomorrow, says the Logic MC. I'm going to go with 3-1, maybe even 3-0, but 3-1. First City goal was a mistake and the second an own goal, says Star Blogger. Why are we talking about them? You're not been blocked, Pogboom, because I can still read your comments. You probably had a comment deleted. Does anyone remember my old account? Says Cracking Plur FC. It was called Wasted. Doesn't jump out at me. Aaron Qatari says, who is your first choice winger? My first choice winger, well, there's two, isn't it? You've got to play a right and a left-hand side. If you play the 5-3-2, it's obviously going to be Valencia on the right as the right wing back. The left wing back at the moment probably needs to be Darmian because we don't have anybody else. If we're playing the 4-3-3 with two wide players, it's got to be Martial on the left, and I would probably play Mata. I like Mata and Valencia. Mata could come inside a bit, and then Valencia can bomb on past him. Like the video if you like Saturday Night Live, by the way, because it's a much more dynamic show. Obviously, we've spoken a bit about the Premier League. We're going to come back to that in a minute. I'll have a look at the fantasy football as well. Can we win the title with this team, says Shazwat. Leicester won the title. Of course they can. Red Devil Weekly, you're in a timeout for that. You do this on a lot of videos. Stop doing it. You know what you're doing. Stop doing it. Would you go for Sigurdsson for 50 million? Says Sapphire. No. Simple answer. Can we do the treble mark? Says Star Blogger. No. And I say that with total confidence. We will not win the treble, and nobody else will as well. I was very lucky to witness that. And for those of you who were as well, you'll know how difficult it was to do it. And I think that is a massive pat on the back to Manchester United Football Club for doing it. And for me to be saying it won't be done, I don't think it will be done again for a long time, because it was ridiculously hard to do it. And I think it's harder to do it now because the Premier League is probably at its most competitive for a long time. There's a lot of competition in the Premier League, which means winning the Premier League takes a lot out of you. To then win the FA Cup as well, you could do the Premier League. You could do the Premier League and the FA Cup double, not a problem, because you could get a good run in the FA Cup. But to then win the Champions League on top of that is, you're just going to hit what we had with the Europa League last year, and we sort of had to sacrifice the FA Cup, or Michael Oliver had to cheat us out of it. You get to March, April time, and the games are coming thick and fast. You're in the latter stages of the FA Cup, you're in the latter stages of the Champions League, and you're fighting for the Premier League. It's just too much. If you had the money and you could get 30 top-class players to come to Manchester United and you could mix them up, yeah, of course you could, but that's not realistic. And the big problem as well now is the Premier League's so competitive. Most of the good Champions League clubs are playing in teams where in leagues where it's not competitive. Maybe 10% of their games are a real tough game, and 30%, maybe 20% of their games are tough, and 80% of them are against teams that are probably the equivalent of our League One and Championship sides. I mean, you look at the German League, you know, beyond 2 or 3 clubs, it's a walk in the park for Bayern Munich. You look at the French League now for PSG, Pub League apart from them and Monaco. You look at La Liga, again, you've got Barcelona, Real Madrid and a couple of others, and the rest of them are pub teams. So they get a real good rest and not really week in, week out hard football. So to win the treble, very, very, very difficult to do. I just don't think it's possible to do it at the moment. Maybe it will, you know, it goes in cycles, doesn't it? It goes in cycles. But at the moment, we're not competitive to win the Champions League even. So to say we'd win the treble is hard. We should have gone all out for Dembele. Now Barcelona will get him, says Infinite Fans. Well, if we wanted Dembele, we should have done it 2 months ago. You're right. Before Neymar went, really, because now Neymar's gone, there's not much chance of it happening. Do I play Football Manager, says Dub Guyful? No. For the simple reason I don't get time. I used to do FIFA Predicts. I was going to do a FIFA Predicts tonight, by the way, but I couldn't do it because I had some bad news today. So I haven't been able to do it. So I will do FIFA Predicts again. Yeah, just bad day really, so I couldn't do it. What do you think about Carrasco for 100 million euros? Well, he's Carrasco. He's an Atletico Madrid player, so we won't be getting him. Everett as left wing back, says Dutch Mass. One day in the past it was good. We're going to struggle up front if Lukaku gets injured, says Barto Callahan. Well, Zlatan will come back at some point. Who do Spurs want, says Janel Duskasny. Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial. We don't have a Fantasy Premier League code, Infinite Fans, because we're not in the Fantasy Premier League this year. Tom Andrews loves me, thanks for that. Who will be relegated, says JW3209. Way too early. And obviously teams like Huddersfield won today, didn't they? So way too early to be looking at that. But I still think probably Brighton and Huddersfield have got a good chance of going down. Kayam Ali says, why do you never answer my questions? I've just answered it. It's not there when I'm reading them. Are we going to sign Ivan Perisic, please, says Fortune. I think we will. Football Bear says, hope everything is okay, Mark. Look, I'll tell you what, I will tell you what's happened. I mean, because to be honest with you, I don't know if there's a higher being or anything like that. But to be honest, where we're at with this at the moment as a family, I'll take any sort of prayers of good luck. I'll take anything because that's the stage we're at the moment. So, as many as you know, Manchester United fan channel. But I do like to personalise it, and we have got a very great community. If you're new to the United Stand, do subscribe and get involved, because we have got a great community, and it does feel like when you go live, a lot of people say, oh, I feel something, and I certainly, I don't feel as if I'm sat here in my bedroom. I don't feel as if I'm sat here in my dining room just talking to a camera and a computer screen, which effectively I am. I do feel as if we are communicating. So, as many of you know, my son was born probably 8 weeks ago today, and for anybody who remembered it, I said that my sister was having a baby the month after, and then my brother was having a baby the month after that. So I've had Sebastian. He's doing very, very well. My sister's had her little boy Max, and my brother had his daughter 2 days ago. Unfortunately, the way it's going at the moment, we've just been up to Nottingham to the hospital today, and she's very, very poorly. She's in sedated in an induced coma at the moment, and we don't know whether there's going to be any brain activity at all. So it's tragic, absolutely tragic, and yeah, surreal really. My younger brother and his wife having to go through that. They're first as well, so very, very sad. But we're hoping. Look, until it's over, it's not over. So hoping, praying. I'm not necessarily religious, but if you could just pray for Bella, and who knows, a miracle might happen. And we're clutching at straws, but I'll clutch at any straws. I really will, because looking at her today, and she's helpless but gorgeous, and I'd do anything to make it not be a sad ending. So yeah, any wishes of good, any prayers, any religion, anything would be really, really appreciated. So yeah, okay, let's crack on. Why don't we go for Son? He's a cracking player, pacey, good shot, good dribbler, and overall amazing player. I don't think he will cost that much as well. I presume you're talking about Son from Spurs. He's I don't think Spurs. He is a good player. He scores a lot of goals. I don't think Spurs are going to let him go, to be honest. Mad Marcus has just sent me a message. That's really nice. He says, sorry, that's awful. Thoughts and prayers are with them. Yeah, definitely. I just hope. I hope. Did I hear about Bruno Amorim? Says Den Rastel. Yes, I did. I didn't really follow it up, to be honest. I don't expect much to happen with that. Thanks for all the nice contributions and the nice messages. Look, I don't know. I really don't know. But if we've got 100 people saying it and wishing it, then you know, you never know. You never know, do you? I don't know. I don't know what goes on up there or whatever. So you know, we'll try anything. Huddersfield are top. How do you think Manchester United are going to go in the Champions League? Says Red Devil Weekly. I think I've said it a few times. If we get to the quarterfinals, I think that's what we should expect, and I'll be happy with that. Obviously, if we go beyond that, then I'm happy. But Champions League quarterfinals would be good. It's all about the Premier League. It's got to be all about the Premier League, hasn't it? And that's what we've got to try and aspire to, and that's where it all starts tomorrow, doesn't it? So yeah, we've got to win tomorrow. I don't want to be in a situation tomorrow night where we're talking about drawing at home. What the best question is, and I'll throw it to the live comments as well. What is the best? How confident are you that we're not going to do what we did last season and draw at home to West Ham? I don't think we will, but would I be surprised if we did? I don't think any of us would, but I don't think we will. Big Boy says he'd pay anything to make me manager. Oh, I tell you what, it would be an experiment that I would like to live out. I'd love to live it out. It would never, obviously, it's never going to happen, but I'd love to live it out because I just think it'd be so funny, so funny when and if it went wrong. But you know. Michael felt it. I will. Obviously, I'll keep you updated, but I don't. You know. Red Devil Weekly, you're not causing me any aggravation. Don't worry about it at all. It's just that comment that you keep putting on there. One, it won't do you any good, and two, it's just, you know, ask questions and then you'll get shouted out. Who have they bidded for? Says Vexy. People are obviously joining late. It does say it at the start of the video. Anthony Martial. The link in the video description to the OneFootball app. There is if you want to read about the bid for Anthony Martial, there are literally about 10 articles about it on the OneFootball app. Download it, it's free. It's where if I'm going live and I've not had time to really research, it's what I use. Fosu-Mensah was okay today, says Sports Story. He was more than okay, he was fantastic apparently. I mean, Palace were very, very poor. Darshan Bagel says talk about Fosu today. People obviously joining a little bit late. Fosu-Mensah, I've already said it, played very, very well today. Wasn't at fault for any of the goals. He was man of the match, according to most local Crystal Palace papers and fans, with Loftus-Cheek. Very, very good first game for him for Palace. What we want him to do this season is get 20 games. If he plays 20 times for Crystal Palace this year and he does well, then the loan has worked. Because he would never have got 20 first team games this season at Manchester United. CCR2971 says if we can't beat West Ham at home, forget it. I think it's a very obvious but a very good point, to be fair, mate, because I think if we don't beat West Ham tomorrow, the damage that will do to us confidence wise is irreparable, because we'll just fall back into that problem of last year. And psychologically, it's like Lukaku scoring against Real Madrid. It was very important because psychologically it gives you confidence. Clements Davis says, hi Mark, I think you're right. It will be 3-1. If Sanchez comes, Martial will go into Milan. Well, you know what? I want Martial to stay, but if Mourinho doesn't want him to stay, then he should get rid of him. He's the boss of Manchester United. I can't say anything more than that. Do I ever watch the Portuguese league? Says Manny Pedrazo. Very rare. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't watch much of the Portuguese league. I do watch a lot of Serie A and have done for the last 20 years. I'll watch it more this year because there is a bit. I think it's going to get better. La Liga, I do watch quite a bit of that. I watched a lot last year because Granada and Pereira. But I watched a lot of the big games. Premier League, obviously, I do watch quite a bit of the Premier League. I don't really watch any of the French league. I watch a few German league games, mainly Dortmund and Bayern Munich, but you'll see the other opposition. And I love the Scottish Premier League. No, I don't. I watch a bit of the Championship, to be honest. Mainly Forest. No, I don't. Apparently Forest won today. Mad Marcus told me they were winning 3-1. I don't know what the final score was, but apparently they did win. Apparently City played a 3-5-2 today. What are your thoughts, says Kai Malley? Well, we should play it. Why does Lingard always start instead of Martial, Tim, 06? It is, you know, think of a question that has no answer. You know, why do planes go missing in the Bermuda Triangle? You know, I don't know. What? Aaron Kataria, this is a good question. I like these sort of questions. You know, maybe the last few minutes, let's mix it up with different sort of questions then. I sense people want to do that. And to be honest, I could do with something a little bit light-hearted to take my mind away. Aaron Kataria says, what are your top 5 favourite teams and players? Oh, this is a good question. And everyone else can reply as well, and I'll read some out. So my top 5, well, obviously Manchester United are my favourite, and 5 players would be Manchester United players, but let's exclude Manchester United from it. My top 5 favourite teams then. Okay, so I like Juventus. I do like Juventus. I've always liked Juventus. I do like Everton. I've always liked Everton. I'll tell you a funny story. The first shirt I was ever bought was an Everton shirt. It was a mistake by my mother. I wanted the blue Manchester United shirt and I got an Everton shirt. So my school team used to play in blue, but we didn't have a kit. I mean, I think it was only about 5 or 6. So you could wear any blue kit you wanted. So obviously I lived in Nottingham, and Nottingham Forest didn't play in a blue kit. So I asked her to get me a blue kit, and I wanted the Manchester United third one at the time. They had the white sharp and the blue sharp, and she got me Everton NEC. So when you're that age, you're like, oh, who's Everton? So I used to watch Everton a little bit, and I did like Everton. So I've always liked Everton. So Juventus, Everton, I like those two. In England, any other clubs that I do like? I'm scratching around really. There's not really. I mean, to be honest, you know, it's not controversial. I am from Nottingham, so I've got to put Notts County in there. I've always really been interested in Notts County, oldest club in the world. Links to Juventus, and that, you know, I don't have a top 5. That's probably 3 clubs that I do like. But I like football, so I could watch Arsenal play Bournemouth and really like Bournemouth that day. As for top 5 players, definitely I can say Ronaldo, because he's not at United at the moment. I really do like Ronaldo. I really used to like Iniesta. Maldini, loved him when he played, but he's not there anymore. Zidane as well was a fantastic player that I liked. In current Schweinsteiger, I used to love Schweinsteiger. I was so happy when we signed him. But currently, there's a lot of players at the moment. I think we're going through a transition. There's a lot of players at the moment that I like that are potentially world-class players in the next 4 or 5 years. So players like Ousmane Dembele, really do like him. Pulisic as well at Dortmund. I really like him. I think he's really exciting, and it's great that America have got this young talent. Dybala at Juventus, I like him. Verratti is a good player. I'd like to see him away from PSG. That's not going to happen at the moment. In the Premier League, as much as it pains me, I was only thinking about him today. Dele Alli's an interesting player. I think he could be one of the best players in the world for the next 4 or 5 years. It's a very interesting season for him. I'd certainly have him in your fantasy Premier League, by the way. Anyway, that could go on for ages. Jer O'Neill says Celtic, Birmingham FC, Ajax, Juventus, Tottenham Hotspurs. I'm glad I steered clear of the Scottish thing, actually, because it might have been controversial when I told you who was my favourite team from Scotland. You've guessed it, Dundee United. Marcus, Forest won 4-3. Jashan says Messi doesn't blow your mind. I've never really took to Messi. I don't know why. He's clearly one of the best players in the world with Ronaldo. But I've never really took to Messi. There's something about Messi I don't like, and I don't know what it is. It's weird. It's really weird, isn't it? It's a bit like, I saw somebody the other day saying that I can't stand The Departed, with Jack Nicholson and Martin Sheen and DiCaprio and Damon. It's a fantastic film. I don't understand how anybody could not like it, but we're all different, aren't we? Tom55J has said, just got here, going to watch from the beginning. Here's some support. Thanks very much, pal. It's interesting that people are watching this. Like, we've been live for 40 minutes, and some people might only be on minute 10 reading your comments. What do I think of Walsall, says Pogprem FC6. I only ever think about Walsall when I'm on the M6 driving past it, because their pitch is their ground is very close to the M6 as you go out of Birmingham up north. So I don't really give Walsall much thought, to be honest. That was one of the... Somebody just said, Marcus just said that the parted is rubbish, but oh no, he said it's brilliant. It's a good job I read it back, because I was going to bury Marcus there. I was going to say he likes Transformers, but what inspired you to support the Red Devils, says MU Blaze. Well, some people would say I started supporting Manchester United 3 years ago, and I saw a gap in the market in YouTube to get a really popular channel with the biggest support in the world. And I thought, you know what? I really like that idea. You earn so much money on YouTube. You don't. And I really want to sacrifice time with my family and knacker myself every night, staying up till gone midnight doing videos and all sorts, just to make a YouTube channel. That's obviously not the truth. I support Manchester United because my mum supports Manchester United, because my granddad used to support Manchester United, and he doesn't anymore because he's not with us anymore. And from a young age, football was massive in my family. I remember we used to have a Sabutio pitch that was stapled to a big piece of wood, and every Friday night my granddad would get it out. He would get my stepdad, my uncles in a room because they played for his team, and he would have the men out, and it would be all tactics and this, that and the other. It was just passion for football, and it was impossible that didn't feed into me. It's why I love football. I love watching football. I love the tactical side of football. And in them days, you just had a VHS player, and I used to come home from school. They'd get in because they were builders. My granddad had his own business. They'd get in from a hard day at graft, and they'd put Brazil 1970 on, or Manchester United the 60s, and so I grew up on Best and Charlton and Law and Pele, and they loved Maradona and stuff like that, and I just grew up watching videos of all that, and that's where it started for me with Manchester United. Like I said, my dad's a Chelsea fan. I did used to get taken to watch Forest. I was at Hillsborough. People really think, why would I ever make up that I was at Hillsborough? There's just no reason to do it. One, United weren't there. It was Forest v Liverpool. I used to get taken to watch Forest because my mum and dad split up when I was 6, and on a weekend it was something that my dad could take me to. We lived in Nottingham. He's a Chelsea fan. I supported United. I begged him to take me up to watch Manchester United v Forest in the quarterfinals in 1989, and Forest won 1-0. And then they got to play Liverpool in the semi-final, and when we were driving back, my dad said, "That's near your birthday, do you want to go?" And I was like, yeah, because I want to see Forest knock Liverpool out, because I hated Liverpool. And then obviously the rest is tragic history, but that's that. If your mum supports Manchester United, then why did she buy you an Everton shirt? It says Arnold Penny Quidini. I don't know. Should we get her on the channel? She probably will remember it. Jack Kirkland, do you think you will ever collab with Full Time Devils? The door is open. It's always been open. Would happily do it. Certainly not going to beg to do it. I would say there is more chance of Liverpool winning the league. They don't want to do it. That's up to them. If you could watch any player from the past now, who would it be? Says Vince Chapman. 100%, only because his picture's next to me there. Everything my granddad ever said to him. Interviews I've seen from people on the telly about him. Everything you read about him. And he died at a ridiculously young age, but was apparently such an amazing player. I'd just love to have watched Duncan Edwards, just to see what it was all about. I can vision what it was all about. We all can. But I would love to have seen him play. And also I would like to see George Best play. I'm going to be greedy and say 2, because the thing about George Best that people don't realise is we do have quite a bit of footage of George Best and what a great player he was and what great goals he scored. What people don't realise is George Best played for Manchester United for however many years. Many games for Manchester United. of which only, I would say, less than 5%, probably way less than that, but let's be generous and say 5% of George Best's career is on camera. 95% of it isn't. Why is that? Because he played in an era where there was no Sky Sports wall-to-wall with every game being videoed. You know, I think there was one game a week on then, and United might not be on every week. So unless they were on the telly being filmed, you know, many games George Best played were never filmed. So even though we've got these best bits, we haven't got 95% of his career even recorded. So imagine what, you know, we think he's good off the 5%. Imagine how good he was off the 95%. On top of that, the ball was rubbish. On top of that, the footwear wasn't as good. On top of that, the pitches were heavy. On top of that, the refs were lean, and there were real people like Chopper Harris who would just chop you in half. So I think George Best is the best there's ever been when it comes to your Messi and your Ronaldos, your Maradonas, your Pelés. Best has got to be right up there with Pelé because of the era they played in, and there's so little footage of him. Clements Davis says, me and Rachel think it'll be 3-1 tomorrow. Ryan Goodwin, yes, Best did semi-retire. Best basically retired at about 26, to be honest. He carried on a little bit, but there you go. NFFC Owen, we've got a Forest fan on, says, what was your opinions on Brian Clough and how he managed Forest? Well, Roy Keane said the best manager he ever played for was Brian Clough. If you've never seen The Damn United, it's a great film. I think Brian Clough is comfortably the best English manager there's ever been. He won the title with Derby. He won the title with Forest. He won back-to-back European Cups with Forest. What he did at little clubs was unprecedented. The football he played, his man management style, fantastic. The sad thing was he succumbed to drink in the last few years and became a bit erratic. But as a manager and as a personality, some of his interviews with Parkinson and stuff like that, a very, you know, brilliant man, and a very talented man as well, what he achieved. Who do you think will win the Ballon d'Or? Just a prediction, please, says Iris XHD. I would probably say Ronaldo. Jack Kirtland says, if you could sign 3 players from the Premier League for United, who would you choose? Well, Dele Alli, for the reasons I've said. I just think he's going to be a fantastic player. I'm trying to think from the Premier League. Gareth McCauley from West Brom, because he's brilliant in fantasy Premier League. No, I'm only joking. Well, I suppose you've got to think about where they'd fit in a Manchester United shirt. So effectively, I would sign Dele Alli. I would sign... I probably would sign Alexis Sanchez, to be honest. And I would sign... You know what? I'm going to be totally generous and honest and say Mendy from City, because we do need a left-sided player. Luke Shaw should be that player, but can he stay fit? And I did say it, and I won't lie. I did say before he went to City, I said it in around April time, if Shaw's not going to be fit, or if Shaw isn't what Mourinho wants, then Mendy's the player we should have. So we know we lack a left-sided player, and I can't stand City for obvious reasons, but I'm not going to lie and say that I don't think Mendy's a good player. Alex Bork, I think, has just said that Marcus Theed. If Marcus said this, he said, best English manager equals Sir Alex. Marcus, you've been burned. Mega 88899. What do you think of the true Geordie? Well, God, we're getting asked some tough ones tonight. If I can be totally honest with you, I don't get it. But remember, I'm from a different era to you, and what I don't like, I really don't like, is vulgar swearing for just to be cool. I don't like the effing this, and I hate the C word. But I'm not in my late teens or early 20s where that is probably quite cool or whatever. I just don't like that. His football opinion, I've only seen a couple of his videos. The last one was probably about 2.5 years ago, where he really went to town on Michael Carrick, and I just thought, well, you clearly don't watch. But benefit of the doubt, he obviously did watch a lot of United, and I just thought he probably doesn't know that much about football to be getting on Michael Carrick's back that much. Because if you don't get Michael Carrick, probably not now because he's on the decline, but let's talk about Michael Carrick 3 years ago and for the previous 10 years. If you don't get Michael Carrick, I really don't think you understand football. Michael Carrick was never going to run past 5 players and put it in the top corner. Michael Carrick was never really going to do last-ditch tackles. What Michael Carrick did was read the game better than any English midfielder in the last decade. Positionally brilliant. Listen to any professional who played with him and they couldn't stop talking about how good Carrick was. Makes a 5-yard pass look like a, makes a 40-yard pass, sorry, look like a 5-yard pass off both feet. Fantastic player, Michael Carrick. But no, in all honesty, I haven't really got any problems with him. He's done very, very well. I don't like swearing for the hell of it. I mean, I've sworn on the United stand, but it tends to be at a passionate moment. I don't like it as part of people's vocabulary. Quit the booths. I never said that, Goldie, says Marcus Steed. He's had to make a contribution to say it. Somebody said it. Mark, do you think Schneiderlin was given a chance, says Shaka Phillips. I don't have a problem with Schneiderlin being sold. I think he had an opportunity and he blew it, and I think Memphis had an opportunity and he blew it. And for anybody who quickly comes back and say, well, you could say that the same about Martial. The difference with Martial is Martial consistently does do things in a Manchester United shirt. Whether it's that thing against Real Madrid, or whether it's he played really well against Everton, didn't he? He had some good moments last season. Memphis and Schneiderlin never had those moments, and they were given the opportunities. My drink is green, that's why it's a little bit see-through. Liverpool, Chelsea conceding 3 goals. Defence is becoming a little bit a thing of the past, which is where I think United can pick up points this year, because Mourinho's always been good defensively. Everybody else is awful defensively, so if we've got a good defence, that's really good. Best player in the Premier League at the moment, says Callan Gaming and Vlogs. I think, it's been the night of Dele Alli, so I'm going to say Dele Alli. Let's see what he does tomorrow. He'll probably be rubbish now. George Wilson 99 says, my granddad went to school with Bobby Moore, and what do you think about Bobby Moore? Well, obviously I don't remember Bobby Moore because he was playing before I was even born, but I think the thing I liked about Bobby Moore was that tackle he did in 1970 against Brazil. Just perfect time. When a player's running at you very fast and a very skillful player, keep your eye on the ball and just mugged him off, just took it off him. It's one of the best tackles, and it's it's highlighted as one of the best tackles anyway. But I think it was another player who could just read the game very, very well. 4-1 United versus West Ham. I hope so, says Knowles. And who do you think is the best player in football history, says Mohammed Assad. Maradona was very good. I was fortunate enough to see a bit of Maradona when I was growing up. On the telly, granted. No, I think I didn't see him in person. Maradona was a very good player. It's a shame he was a cheat. Ronaldo's been fantastic. I would go George Best for the reasons I said about 10 minutes ago. I would go George Best. And I think it's an argument that you could easily say. Jack Kirkland, have you taken Sebastian to any games yet? He's only 8 weeks old. I wouldn't know. He will be going, not yet though. Stacey Wilson says, I don't think Mourinho likes Van Gaal players. Let's think of a Van Gaal player that he likes. Well, Herrera's not technically a Van Gaal player because Herrera was already bought, as was Luke Shaw. They came in the summer that Van Gaal did, but United had already sorted the deals from, and Van Gaal just sort of agreed with them. So you got Daley Blind, doesn't play a hell of a lot. Rojo, he's turned Rojo round. Obviously Martial we know, Memphis, Schneiderlin, Went, Romero. He likes Romero. So there's 1 or 2 he likes. Eric says, what about Gary Neville celebrating the Arsenal win, Mark? I didn't really see it. I don't really get it because Sky have got some sort of on the pitch thing now, haven't they? Which seems a bit gimmicky to me. It seems a bit fake. It's like they're trying to make players more in touch with the fans, and I think that boat sailed a long time ago. I think they're on too much money now. But, you know, Gary Neville's just doing his job. He's a Sky Sports pundit. I know he's a Manchester United fan and ex-player, but he can't just, you know, he can't just sit there with booing Arsenal when they score, you know, when they win the game and that. He's enthusiastic about his job. He's been on Arsenal Fan TV. He wouldn't come on the United stand, I tell you that for free. I think, in fairness to Gary Neville, he's got an opinion on a lot of things. He's a football pundit now, and that's where he earns his money. And, you know, he's a very successful one. So, what he does with his time is up to him. I still think he's a Manchester United fan through and through, but, you know, he's obviously passionate about his job. Haydar wants me to recap the start. So, look, I'll recap it very quickly. If you want to download the One Football app, it's free in the link description. Go to follow Manchester United on there, and it will list you all the latest Manchester United news, which there's lots of articles there about Martial's bid. But in essence, Spurs have apparently bid for Anthony Martial. Again, another link with Martial out of United. At some point, the straw is going to break the camel's back. Balassi to solve United's wing-back problem, says Joe Condon. He's injured, isn't he? He's been injured for a long time for Everton. Sander says, is football better now or before all the money? Says Sander Sagers. Football in the late 80s, early 90s, before, well, it's got to be the late 80s, up to 90, was good. I really enjoyed it, but then that might have been just the age I was at. I tell you what was different then to what's different now when I was growing up is that you used to, like, every lunchtime at school you were playing football. As soon as you got home, even if it was like autumn and it was going to get dark at 5 o'clock, you get home at 4:10, get out and play football for half an hour. Same at the weekends, and you were playing for your teams. We were just outside playing football all the time. And I walk around now when I'm taking the dog out, or I'm, you know, taking one of the kids out on their bike, and you go past playing fields and everything. There's nobody playing football, and I just think, they're all inside playing FIFA, aren't they? Or they're on their phones, WhatsApping, or they're on Twitter. I just think that is really sad, because in Brazil, on the beach, and in Spain, in the weather, and Australia, and other countries, they are still very sports-orientated nations. But the English, you know, I've seen it in my lifetime. I mean, how we can expect to produce decent talent when, you know, the numbers have dwindled in relation to how many kids are out there playing football. It's sad, and that has changed since then. That's technology, that's not money and football's fault. Was the football better? Well, 1990 was my favourite World Cup, and there were some very good players there. Are England a better team now because of the money in the Premier League? No, they were better in 90. So it was just a different era. Football's better now in general because it's quicker. Manchester United now would annihilate the 1968 side because of the fitness levels and the speed of the play. If that should never be an argument, though, and I've argued this so many times, because people are saying, well, United now is better than the 68 team. That's not right. They're not better. If you had Best, Law and Charlton in that 68 side, equivalent today, with the fitness, the training regime, the ball, the pitch, they would annihilate United today. But if you put them directly together, the 68 team against this team now, with the circumstances and conditions of them against now, then of course the modern team would win. But that's not how you should judge it. You should always take one team back to those conditions, or bring one team now to them conditions, and they would get annihilated by the 68 side. Who will score the first goal for United, says Clements Davies? I'm going to go with Lukaku. And on that point, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thanks for joining me tonight. Needed it after today. Thanks for all the nice messages. I will keep you updated, but I sort of don't want to, because I want it to sort of go away and everything be okay. But thanks everybody. Back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Hopefully I'm sure we will. Hopefully we will. Xander, if you're listening, if you want to do the watch along with me tomorrow, Marcus has bottled it. It's a 4 o'clock kickoff. We'll be live at 3 o'clock with the team news. This is it. This is the start of the Premier League for United. No more pre-season games in America, or in Dublin, or in Norway, or in the Super Cup. This is it. This is what we've been building towards. West Ham at home is finally here. 3 points is what we've got to have for the Sunday night show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. We'll be live with you for the watch along tomorrow. Fasten your seatbelts, get a good night's sleep. It's big. This is the one. This is where it matters. And come on, we've got to do it. We want this season to start on the right way. I mean, we even won our first 3 games last year, so we've got to at least do that. And look where we still finished 6th. So we've got to win this game tomorrow, and I really hope that we can do it. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. If you've enjoyed this Saturday night show, it's going to be every night at Saturday. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit better when United have played on the Saturday, because we can sort of be talking about that as well. But we will touch on what's happened in the day. We've done the Fosu-Mensah, the Rooney, the big results for Chelsea and Liverpool, and the latest United news. And we're all ready now to have a good rest, and then United tomorrow. Big game. See you tomorrow. Thanks everybody for watching. Keep getting involved in the United stand, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching.